Hello everyone. Welcome back to another Commander review for Magic the Gathering. Today we are talking about Kentaro the Smiling Cat from the Betrayers of Kamigawa set. This is a legendary human samurai. I'm going to scroll down on my phone to make sure I read the errata text if needed. It's a 2-1 for 2 mana, 1 and 1 white. It has the Bushido keyword, Bushido 1 specifically, so if this creature ever becomes blocked or becomes a blocker, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And then it has this awesome static ability. You may pay X rather than pay the mana cost of samurai spells you play, where X is that spell's converted mana cost, or, as the errata text says, that spell's mana value. This card is really cool. And it was definitely something that was meant for 60 card formats because it meant you could play white-red samurai, and then you wouldn't ever have to worry about the color restrictions of your samurai because all your samurai were just X, where X is their mana value, which was really cool. It kind of made all your samurais like a colorless artifact deck where you didn't care what color of mana you had, you just had to pay the amount of mana, which is really color efficient and really cool. However, in Commander, we do not have to worry about having to balance out the color requirements. So this color requirement doesn't do a whole lot because we're just going to be playing with mono white samurai. However, we'll still take advantage of it because this means that we can utilize more non-white sources of ramp and lands, and still not have to worry about like making sure we fulfill all the white mana pips of our samurai, which is really cool. 2 rules for this commander. Kentaro doesn't change when you cast a samurai. It just makes samurai castable for generic mana. And I don't really know why that rule was put there, but essentially just remember that it doesn't change the mana value of the card you're playing. It just allows you to pay for the mana value in a different way than normally. So I don't know why that rule was put there like that, but that's what that is trying to say. Kentaro's ability only applies while Kentaro is on the battlefield. You have to pay for Kentaro normally. It still costs. Which makes total sense because this is a static ability. It cannot be static if the creature's not on the battlefield making the static ability, right? If it's in your hand, it would have to say while this is in your hand or something, or something to that nature. But most creatures that have those kind of static abilities have to be on the battlefield. That's kind of a common sense thing. You can't just have a Sphinx that lets you surveil for 2 life, or a Nightmare that lets you surveil for 2 life and do it from your hand, right? You have to have the creature in play and then do the surveilling from while it's in the battlefield. So this is the same thing. A card I chose to synergize with this commander, and this deck idea is really fun, I can't wait to talk about it, is Cloud Key, where you are picking creature, of course, because this is going to be a creature-focused commander, but your creatures, your samurais, will cost 1 generic less to cast, which is really cool. And then we get into the deck ideas. My deck that I am building around is, of course, Samurai Tribal. Samurais are one of my favorites to build around, and I'm going to be utilizing the old OG Samurai using the original Bushido mechanic, mostly as a defensive mechanic. And then with the help of both Shards of Alara from the Bant plane, as well as from the support given to us from the Neon Dynasty Kamigawa, which really focuses on Exalted, or having your creatures attack alone, really beef up a single aggressor to go and fight my opponents, which is just really cool. It's a creature-focused deck. but it's sending one creature to fight at a time, so it could become a super soldier, and then everyone else can stay at home and block with the benefits of the Bushido, which is really, really cool. A popular deck idea on EDH Rec is this weird, crazy combo deck where, and this is why I love this commander. So with Cloud Key, one of the things it does is it lets you reduce the cost by 1 of creatures. Herald's Horn in the middle here does the same thing, but you choose a creature type, so you'd pick Samurai. So now your Samurai cost 2 less to play. And because your commander, I'll just go back to it real quick, because your commander allows you to pay generic X instead of having to worry about the colored pips of spells, you essentially never have to pay mana for your spells because he lets you pay generic mana for casting your Samurai. So the idea is to have enough cost reducers on the battlefield that you can play your Samurai for free. And then you have Cloudstone Curio. Whenever a non-artifact permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you may return another permanent you control that shares a permanent type with it to its owner's hand. So if you have 2 Samurai that one in your hand, one in play, you play the second one in your hand for free because of the cost reducers and because of Kentaro's ability. Then Cloudstone Curio will trigger. You bounce the Samurai on the battlefield, the first Samurai, bounces it back to your hand. You should have enough cost reducers that now you can cast it for free, and then bounce the second one back to your hand, and you just cycle back and forth. Something with Aetherflux Reservoir makes that for an easy win con for this commander, which is really cool that we have a Samurai combo commander. Really, really cool. Love this deck idea. And then lastly, we've talked about this archetype a couple times depending on the color of the commander, but if you wanted to just go crazy with the typal benefits, is of course doing a tribal commander deck where you are filling the deck with mostly changelings, but all of your changelings will also be Samurai, which means they will always be able to be played for free when you have cost reducers, or you'll just not have to worry about mana costs for them. Maskwood Nexus is another way to give any of your creatures all creature types, so you can still get that cool bonus. And then since you are doing a tribal deck, you don't necessarily have to focus on just Samurai, because all of your creatures for the most part are going to have every creature type. So if you want, you could do Lords or other cards that affect different creature types and get benefits from them. So one that I really liked was Time to Reflect, where you can exile target creature that blocked or was blocked by a zombie this turn. And since your changelings will also be zombies on top of being samurais, you can use really cool common and uncommon, or even cheap generic rares that most players wouldn't play with in a type deck that you can use in this deck because it's any type works. So really, really cool strategy. I love this idea. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And that is going to do it for Kentaro the Smiling Cat. Really cool card, and because of the combo potential of this commander, there's a lot of different ways you can build around it. So it does have the ranking of S, and I can't wait to play with it in my Samurai deck. As always, Samurai are really cool. Just bear in mind that when you're dealing with Bushido, it does not matter how many creatures are involved in the block step. It just cares that the creature becomes blocked or becomes a blocker. So multiple combat steps will give you multiple Bushidos, but multiple creatures does not necessarily give you multiple Bushidos. So bear that in mind, but really cool card. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything I missed or I didn't talk about. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!